Goodbye, old friend. May the Force be with you.
I was wrong. I was wrong about the sequel trilogy characters coming back, and I'm big enough to admit that.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
In several recent interviews, John Boyega has said that despite initially being open to returning to Star Wars, he now has closure regarding his feelings about the franchise, his character Finn, and wants to move on to more nuanced, better productions.
Part of the journey is the end.
However, just one problem about that. I am dead inside.
Okay, but I'm gonna praise you one more time then, because I thought what you did after episode 9 was a lot like what you did in the park that day in London when you said, I'm going to quote you, what I say to Disney is, do not market a black character as important and then push them aside. I feel like they heard you.
Yeah, no, but as they should, even if you want to remove race out of it, just from a business perspective. Don't tease no black. You know what that does to black people? You know how you guys got everybody motivated around Black Panther? Don't tease no and market no Black Panther. Market a black actor and switch and bait.
Switch it, yeah.
You don't do it with white actors. You don't do it. You don't. So don't think you can have this skill set where you're gonna put everybody on plasters. You got white people and black people excited, and then we come in and they in it for 5 minutes. You know, they die at the beginning. It's like, or they the best friend.
Where's the character arc?
Where's the character arc? But why is it also that, you know, when you get, sometimes it can be writer's block, but why is it also that when you have this writer's block, you know, that affects these type of actors? Why is it that, you know, you still got a rich story coming through? Why can't it be spread out? And for me, those
because
conversations
some characters get stories, some characters get tying up loose ends.
I mean, we know the difference. I mean, we can feel it on set. It's like, yeah, we don't need you no more. Bye. Oh, we're not in this. You can feel it. But what the conversation does is it for me is so positive because it gives other actors the ability to be able to say, okay, look, I'm not comfortable with this, or this is what's happening to this is the kind of support I need. And that for me is what I wanted out of everything. I wanted to be able to walk into a room, a black actor, whenever they feel some type of way, they can go to the studio head and say, this is how I feel, this is the support I need, and they can get that. It won't be a weird conversation. And me knowing that, I'm like, cool.
Will you play the character again?
At this point, I'm cool off it. I'm good off it. I think, to be fair, the allies that I found within Joel Taylor, Jamie Foxx, Tiana Paris, Viola Davis, all these people I've been working with, versatility is my path, and I think Finn is at a good, you know, confirmation point where you can just, you know, enjoy him in other things, the games, the animation. But I feel like 7 to 9 was good for me. Yeah, that was good for me.
Go play James Bond, and then in 10 years, Disney will bring a truck of money over and try and talk you into it again.
Hey man, go back when you're 79. Chewie were home, saying Harrison Ford that.
It's understandable to see John moving on. The story was over, and while Finn did have a lot of great moments in the sequel trilogy, and John Boyega still gave one of the 2 best performances in the sequel trilogy right next to Adam Driver, the character Finn itself felt unrealized. It is understandable. John Boyega was done dirty by Disney Lucasfilm. You had certain groups of fans that bullied, harassed, and even tried to gaslight him that his own feelings regarding the disappointing writing of the sequel trilogy didn't matter, that his experiences being sidelined because of his race was all in his head, and that he wasn't supposed to be the male lead of the sequel trilogy. Yet, as we all know, and John Boyega himself, who has said this multiple times, that's not true. JJ had a role in mind for Finn, but that didn't fit with the ever-changing intentions of Disney Lucasfilm. We've seen that just in the other movies and shows. What could be happening one day is gone the next day. Like many interesting components with The Force Awakens that were suddenly left underdeveloped with the course correction and change of character hierarchy going into The Last Jedi, Finn suffered from this. The sequel trilogy suffered from this. Many stories in Disney Star Wars has suffered from this. Stories start as one thing and become completely unrecognizable. And yes, stories do evolve and change over time as part of the process, but there is a big difference between a creator doing this because this is their vision for a story versus a studio being incapable of making up their mind and constantly changing the course of directions. But what does this mean for the sequel trilogy characters? For the sequel trilogy era? Well, I think John's refusal to return to Star Wars confirms what many thought about the sequel trilogy era, yet others like myself were still hoping wasn't true. The sequel trilogy era is likely done. There's a possibility something could be created in the future, but unlike the Lucas era of Star Wars, which took its time in crafting its universe and only returned to Star Wars because George had a story in mind that he wanted to tell. This was his little indie story that he personally created for the sake of he just wanted to tell a story. Disney Star Wars doesn't have that restraint, because at the end of the day, Disney Star Wars is about what Disney itself wants. Disney the corporation, Disney the IP, Disney the suit that bought Lucasfilm. Yes, I know, you could point to this creator, this influencer, this scooper, this leaker who said X, Y, and Z. But none of that matters in comparison to Disney's actions, and their actions are the first and last words that will be heard in these decision makings. If there's a chance to mine a story from anything in Star Wars, they would do it, regardless of if it should be done. If they think there's a profit to be had, they are going to mine it, and if they don't think there's a profit to be had, we will likely never see it again anytime soon, regardless of if fans, creators, and actors want it. Co-writer of Solo: A Star Wars Story, John Kasdan, wants the story of Solo to live on in the Mandoverse. Lawrence Kasdan, the other co-writer of Solo: A Star Wars Story, wants the story to live on in the films. Alden Ehrenreich is open to returning, and so is Emilia Clarke. But guess what? There are no plans for Solo to return, even if scoopers and leakers said Alden Ehrenreich is signed on for multiple projects with Disney Star Wars shows. It doesn't matter if the stories fit, they will find a way to make it work. It's why we have Obi-Wan Kenobi on a planet-hopping adventure while we were all under the impression he lived a quiet life in exile on Tatooine watching over Luke. An adventure that had the entire Empire know that Leia and her families were Jedi sympathizers, and a goddess with a burning cross chasing Luke Skywalker around in the desert, even though by all accounts Luke had a pretty quiet life. Why we're a decade into Disney Star Wars and still exploring the Rebellion era, and even more now with the upcoming series Andor, even though everything about the Rebellion that needed to be known was covered in the series Star Wars Rebels, the comics, the books, the video games, the film itself Rogue One, oh yeah, and the original trilogy. Everything about this time in Star Wars we've known, but if there is more stories to mine, more profit to be made, it will be made. Rogue One is popular, so of course it gets a spin-off. Don't even get me started on the Mandoverse that has Ahsoka and Luke, both well aware of the Empire being back, yet neither does anything to stop the rise of the First Order. But then again, Ahsoka didn't do anything during the original trilogy, so I guess it is what it is. It seems like the new Disney Lucasfilm motto is, can we do this story? And that's taking priority over should we do this story? Is there a story to even tell? It's not like I hate Disney Star Wars, there is a lot about Disney Star Wars that I have loved. Yet it feels like they don't know what to do anymore with the franchise, and I don't know if they ever actually did. From the beginning of Disney Star Wars, what many people forget to tell you when recounting events is that George Lucas didn't just sell the company and have nothing to do with it. Initially, George Lucas was going to be co-chairman with Kathleen Kennedy, and they were going to run Lucasfilm together, her doing the business, him doing the story. Yet after Bob Iger and Disney had a falling out with George Lucas, that left Lucasfilm in a weird predicament of trying to figure out what was going to be the future of this franchise without no real direction. The franchise feels aimless as it hops back and forth between these small pockets between the trilogies, trying to narratively squeeze out as much suspension of disbelief as possible, as it refuses to venture into new grounds and instead continues to squander its time into areas that have been already covered to death. Star Wars is afraid of changing the status quo and moving forward. It's afraid of change, and I mean actual change, not the illusion of change that The Last Jedi was. We do have the Acolyte that will take place before the Skywalker saga during the High Republic, and if it's a smash hit like The Mandalorian Season 1, I could see a bunch of live-action spin-off shows and movies. Okay, I can see a lot of spin-off shows sprouting from that era as well, as we've seen with the Mandoverse. I'm not gonna hold y'all, I don't know when we get another Star Wars film. There hasn't been an anthology film since 2018. There hasn't been a Star Wars film since 2019. And with Rian Johnson's trilogy and Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron shelved indefinitely, probably for the best, Taika Waititi's Star Wars film in internal development stage that doesn't seem to be moving any forward, J.D. Dillard's Star Wars film being buried completely after its announcement, and us already moving past the dates we were supposed to be getting new Star Wars films on the schedule, I think we are finally seeing the corporate fatigue of Disney Lucasfilm finally catch up with Star Wars. With John Boyega now returning to Star Wars, I don't see Daisy Ridley returning either anytime soon, and I don't see other actors like Oscar, Kelly, and Naomi getting offered their own spin-offs or being in high demand for them to be given one either by Disney. So what does this all mean? I think regardless of what the rumor mill says, the bandwagon, the scoopers, the leakers, the people with the inside source, the person who heard this from somewhere, Lucasfilm will focus on the projects already in production for 2023 and 2024. Andor, The Mandalorian Season 3 and 4, the Ahsoka series, Skeleton Crew, The Acolyte, Vision Season 2, The Bad Batch Season 2, Tales of the Jedi, Jedi Survivor, Indiana Jones, and Willow. Is it possible we'll get more from Lucasfilm? Sure. But honestly, I'm not gonna hold my breath anymore for these projects that could be announced, that were announced, but we haven't had any development of it. No, it's dead to me. Until it actually drops. As I said in the Kenobi video, that was my jumping off point personally. There's nothing coming from Disney Star Wars that really interests me anymore, and I'll be honest, when there are so many other better written and produced shows out there, studios that actually make movies I love, making movies at all, I don't see much incentive to keep following Star Wars in its current state. The culture war surrounding everything that comes out of Disney Lucasfilm has become insufferable. Constructive criticism is mixed with bias, hate, or even actual bigotry if we're talking about that side of the fandom, or any good faith praise that could be labeled something Disney Lucasfilm has put out is drowned out in brand loyalty by influencers, by journalists, by all these people who are more concerned if they can get perks from Lucasfilm rather than giving an actual opinion. Some people don't even want to give opinions because they know they don't want to lose the perks they could get from Lucasfilm. Folks who think that being a Star Wars fan means liking everything the brand puts out, unless there's a socially problematic issue someone can have with it, but only if the right people in the fandom or Lucasfilm have an issue with it. If it's a socially political problem, that is pretty bad, but
However, just one problem about that. I am dead inside.
And here's the thing, if following Star Wars in its current state is already tiring, the culture war and constant need to one-up strangers and fight with strangers is even more tiring. And I think the recent John Boyega interview, while depressing for lots of people, also gave closure to a lot of others and allowed them to finally let go. Anything can happen in the future, but we shouldn't waste our lives only looking years into the future for a chance of something happening. I've heard so many different stories from so many different scoopers, leakers, industry professionals, people who work at Disney, people who work at Lucasfilm, blah blah blah, and everyone and their mothers just claiming they know what the future of Disney Lucasfilm is. I'm just gonna be honest with you, I don't know if they do themselves. And maybe they do, maybe they don't, but I'm not really that interested in it anymore. I had my fun and I'm always going to love Star Wars, but I don't need to follow a studio in every single endeavor they do. People don't do that for other studios. I don't know why the Disney logo has gaslit people so thoroughly that you always need to follow these big franchises that Disney owns. It's okay, you don't need to. And for me, that's what I'm gonna do right now. I'm living in the here and the now, just like we all are. And we should understand that no matter what anyone says or does,
Well, whatever happens, happens.
However, just one problem about that. I am dead inside.